On the 16th of March 2008, the wreck of the Hmas Sydney was located off the coast of Western Australia. The Sydney was lost after a confrontation with the German merchant raider the Cormorant in November 1941. A monument to the Sydney at Geraldton includes a bronze statue of a windswept woman looking out to sea, waiting for news on a ship and her crew. Lost with all hands, the story of the Sydney. Her hull was laid down on a far distant shore when the threat to world peace was too great to ignore. Designed for a purpose, and that purpose was war. The dockyards were building the Sydney. Launched when the Great Depression held sway, in action to keep the Italians at bay, by blockading ports in the Med far away from her namesake, the city of Sydney. With the world now at war, the real work has begun. Against Germany now, soon Japan's rising sun. The Bartolomeo felt her twin 6-inch guns the day she was sunk by the Sydney. Steaming down south to the west of Shark Bay, a freighter is seen at the close of the day, with the flag of the Dutch flying there on display. But a raider is stalking the Sydney. The captain approached what he thought was a friend, but the 1,000 yards was too close to defend, when the flag of the Reich on the mast did ascend, and all hell breaks loose on the Sydney. Taking water and burning, she turns on the Hun, returning her fire. These colours won't run. Determined to finish what she has begun, she fought to the end, did the Sydney. The battle is over. Both ships drift in the haze. The Cormorant scuttled and the Sydney ablaze. The painful conclusion made after 6 days. All hands have gone down with the Sydney. The bronze woman stands gazing, grief etched on her face, symbolising the mothers and wives who with grace had waited for news on the last resting place of their loved ones who served on the Sydney. It was just a dark smudge on a video screen, but the hunters were cheering for what they had seen. Then the thoughtful reflection on what it may mean had they found the wreck of the Sydney. A nation had waited 67 long years, long after the loved ones had shed all their tears. Then a shadowy shape on the sonar appears and reveals the wreck of the Sydney. A cold, watery grave for her captain and crew. No one will ever know what they went through when the Cormorant's guns and her torpedoes flew straight into the heart of the Sydney. The fate of 645 men, remembered in silence by the Navy, and when the wreaths were cast out and the priest whispered, Amen, they prayed for the souls of the Sydney. The wreaths were cast out, the priest whispered, Amen, and they prayed for the souls of the Sydney.